Hello and welcome back to the Books I Read with My Cat podcast. I'm your host, Val,
I'm Allison.
And I'm Courtney.
and we're excited for the second episode. Thank you to everyone that listened to the first episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And how are you guys doing today?
Lovely. How are you?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
We're recording at a
Good.
different time, so, energy
Oh, yeah.
maybe.
Oh, yeah, you guys had work today.
Yep,
We
did.
did.
Not all of us can not work on a weekday.
Yep.
On a Wednesday.
Yep.
I had all of my kiddos here today, so.
Oh, really? You had all the kids?
All the kids
Oh,
were
man,
there.
a full
Nobody
house.
was absent. Full house, everybody.
It's like, does that not happen often?
Not for my group. For some reason, we have a lot of kids absent pretty often. I don't know why. But, yeah. Everyone there. And we had a fire drill, so, fine.
Yay!
Yay, fire drill.
Woo!
Yeah, they're young. They get sick easily.
Yeah, they do. Especially right now.
Oh,
We've got
boy.
the flu. The flu and stomach bug, all that jazz going around, so.
Oh, boy.
Fun.
Little gremlins.
They are. Full of germs. So.
Oh, boy. What are you guys drinking today? I got some kombucha, which I know is not technically tea, but it's made from tea. And
Is
it's
it really?
Yeah, it's fermented black tea. It's not alcoholic or like very low alcohol. I'm not sure how it works. But it's flavored with ginger and kaffir lime. I think that's how you say it. It's from a local place.
Sounds really good.
It's really good. It kind of tastes like a mojito. Or not a mojito. What's it called? Moscow Mule.
Oh, I would like that.
I love Moscow mules.
Yeah, it's good.
What about you, Allison?
I am drinking a Disney tea. It's called it's the Mad Tea Party blend. So it has, what is it? Black tea with ginger, peach, and apricot. Really tasty. I actually have like they have a party pack, so it's like all of the characters have their own tea. And this is one of my favorite ones from that. It's the official unbirthday tea. Got it for my birthday. Yeah. It's very tasty.
I love that. Did you get it at Disney?
My brother and my sister-in-law got it for me. Yes, from Disney, from the Epcot English pavilion.
Yeah, the British
English pavilion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. But this isn't Twinings. It wasn't from the Twinings tea store because it's not a Twinings tea.
Oh, okay.
It's from that area. I was surprised because I'm like, don't they are some kind of agreement? I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I thought Twinings was the only one that they had.
Yeah, it's just Disney Wonderland tea. So
interesting.
Yeah.
What about you, Courtney?
Ooh, I got one I'm drinking from my hometown. That I got it last week. It's called French Plum and Rose Tea from Amelia's Apothecary of Dunedin.
Ooh.
I'm still tasting it. I'm like still balancing how much honey because I love honey in my tea.
Mm-hmm.
An exorbitant. That's a lot amount.
Exorbitant.
Yes!
Exorbitant
amount. An exorbitant amount. Thank you.
We got you.
But yeah, no. I think you know what? Oh no, it's a black tea. No wonder why I think it tastes weird.
You don't drink black tea.
I don't. I don't know why I bought it. No, what? It smelled really good. That's why I bought it.
That's how they get you.
That makes sense.
And that's why I have to add so much honey.
You might want to let it brew for a less amount of time. Because the longer a black tea steeps, the stronger or like more astringent it gets.
Right.
It gets like more bitter. Almost bitter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at us.
I forgot about that because I didn't realize it was black, so I'm treating it like an herbal tea, and which can just sit in the water forever.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Check it out.
Tongue feel weird.
Black teas also have caffeine, which I know you don't typically drink.
Yeah, I'm probably just gonna have the 1 cup today, so I don't, so I can
You're
actually
gonna
go
be
to sleep
wired.
later. What about the kitty cats?
Ooh.
I have a kitty cat in the room with me. I'm in the guest room when I record this, and so she has her spot on the guest bed, and she's blinking at me very sleepily.
Miss Bella Bean.
It's Bella, yes, my little Bella
Oh.
bee.
Yeah.
And then Danny's in his cardboard box in the living room that he barely fits in.
Oh no. You'll have to take a picture of that.
I will,
They
like, yeah, his
overlap the
whole butt
edges.
hangs out. It's hilarious.
That big booty.
He does have a big booty.
Like that booty dough.
But at some point, I'm sure he'll come in. I feel like at some point he's gonna come in and make Bella move.
Oh.
Probably.
Your
My cats are asleep. Last I checked. Ollie was up on her little. She has like a little throne on the love seat. She got a blanket, little staircase that goes up to it because she's a princess.
Oh.
And then Grizz was snoozing on the ottoman, and Frank was just wandering around. That's all I know. It's what they're doing right now. Not a lot. They're being bums.
What lazy bums.
Yeah.
The dream.
To say what she did last night, Frank, I was in my room and all I heard was like clattering. She's stealing. So my bathroom is across from my bedroom. She was stealing my nail brush from my sink and taking it into the hallway.
Why?
Oh no.
So she's just stealing things. So yeah.
Kleptomaniac.
She is.
I love that. I think mine are finishing dinner because we feed them around 5 p.m. So they're munching on that, and then Leo will probably go snooze. And if I had to guess, the back porch will be open pretty soon, so Terry will hang out there. But can I tell you what happened at like 6 a.m. this morning?
Yes, please do.
Of course.
So Leo was annoying Cam, so Cam moved Leo when we were sleeping, and apparently that incited violence. Terry was also in the bed with us, and then suddenly it was catfight, and then they proceeded to run throughout the house for the next 45 minutes, just zoomies and opening every single door that they could open, and brought in so much light to our bedroom, and I was like, guys, please, it's 6 a.m. I'm
It is
trying to
6 in
sleep.
the morning.
But, they don't get the zoomies very often in the morning. It's typically like 11 p.m. when we close like the back porch off because there's like a little catio out there. And they get the zoomies there because they get treats and then they play and meow and scream and run around. But something about moving Leo this morning incited violence in Terry's soul.
Love it. Just the violence.
Yep. He chose violence.
Just violence.
Yep.
I have a story of my cats from last week.
Oh no.
I think I was at work when this happened, so Alex told me about it. The cats had found a lizard and failed to get it. And even though they were working together, and we're just kind of like, what do we pay you for? You had one
Wait.
job.
They failed at catching a lizard. Their
Yeah.
singular job.
Yeah, it's like the only thing I need
That's
them
how
to
they
do.
pay the rent. That is
I
their
know.
rent.
Yeah, so we have no idea where the lizard is now. It's somewhere in the room I'm sitting in.
Oh no. You're gonna find a corpse at some point when you like are moving
Yeah.
stuff around the house or like
Yeah,
in
well,
that room.
or their
Or
Or
oh
that.
no, not their barf.
barf.
I always
something.
feel bad because, like, when I see them and I want to catch it and help it and they run away, and I'm like, I'm just trying to save your life. Can you let me do this for you? Let me save you from the torture.
My partner has trained the cats to bring him lizards, and frogs and stuff. We call it the treat exchange program.
Oh my god.
So if they bring something into the house, they'll meow, and then Cam will walk up to them, and if they have something in their mouth, Leo will willingly drop it and, like, expectantly wait for treats. Terry sometimes wants to continue playing with it before he lets it go.
He's like, "I'm not done
God.
yet, Dad."
Yeah. But, we have them pretty well trained to bring us stuff when they find it out on the catio, 'cause, there's been quite a few lizard corpses in there, barf.
Lovely.
Oh no.
So lovely.
That's
Alright.
amazing. I wish we could train our cats to do that.
You can, with enough patience.
Yeah,
And consistency, I guess, is the main key.
that's true. Yeah. Yeah. So you want to move on to what books we're reading right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that was part of the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I'm reading. What am I reading? I am reading A Hotel of Secrets. It's one for our local book club. Who's it by?
Diana Biller, it looks like?
Yes. I'm about halfway through it. Val, did you end up finishing it?
I am 96% through, and book club is in about 2 hours, so
You got this. You
I'm
got this.
listening to the audiobook at 2.15 speed.
Love it.
The second book I'm reading, which I just started on the drive home, is called The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty.
Okay.
No.
What's that one
I've wanted
about?
to read that one. I've seen it.
I could just read the thing because I'm like, I don't know. Among the bustling markets of the 18th century Cairo, the city's outcasts make a living out of swindling rich Ottoman nobles and foreign invaders alike. Alongside this new world, the old stories linger, tales of jinn and spirits, of cities hidden among swirling sands in the desert, full of enchantment, desire, and riches, where magic pours down every street, hanging in the air like dust. So it's like, it follows like this girl who's kind of like a fortune teller, like but she's kind of like scammy, and she's like, jinn aren't real, and then they're real. So it's looks like it's a trilogy.
Oh, interesting.
Nice. Like I said, I've seen that one and I've thought about it.
Yeah, this one was published back in 2017.
That's always nice when you don't have to wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, so true.
So.
And I've had that one on my TBR for a long time.
Nice. I am currently also reading Hotel of Secrets for the local book club, and then I'm also still reading Wind and Truth from Brandon Sanderson. So I will probably continue to be reading that for the next episode as well.
Next
'Cause
5
I like
million
to.
years.
Yes, I am about 50% through now. I was at like 40 something before, so I'm enjoying reading it, but it is quite the undertaking.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a while before you finish that one.
My hope is end of quarter 1.
Wow.
When is that?
Long.
March.
Oh, okay. I was like, what does that mean?
Oh yeah, sorry, business.
My quarter 1 is a very different quarter 1.
Yes. Teacher and business are not the same. No, but end of March, I hope to be done. Maybe sooner. Depends on how many other books I end up starting, because I get a lot of loans through Libby, and if something pops up, I might just yoink it. I have a lot of holds.
Not surprised.
Understandable.
Yeah. What about you, Allison?
I'm reading 3 books right now. Finishing up Camera Shy, which I talked about in the last episode. And then I saw Soul of an Octopus was for free to borrow on my app. So that's the one from Montgomery that Courtney had mentioned in the previous episode. This is one of her other books, and it is a surprising exploration into the wonder of consciousness. It's a really cool read.
I can't wait to steal it
Halfway
from you.
done. I'm about halfway done, and it's just really cool. I don't know, understanding how, like, seeing how much she appreciates these animals and just how much joy it brings her. It's a really, it's very a happy read. You know, like
I like
I don't
happy
know.
reads.
I like her writing a lot.
Yeah,
So
that's what I liked too. It's really good, and like I agreed, like you could really get the sense of how much she loves animals.
yeah, yeah. So it's very interesting. And then I am reading Onyx Storm, the Empyrean #3 by Rebecca Yarros that just came out. I'm listening to this one. I have the hard copy, but I listen to these ones. Excellent so far. I'm about 63% done with that one. When I listen to books, I listen to them about 1.5
Mhm.
times the speed or whatever. I
Yeah,
cannot
that's where
do
I
the normal.
generally.
These are insane.
I can't listen to it normal because it's like they're just going so slow.
Yeah.
I
So for
think
the,
Oh,
like, bigger Brandon Sanderson novels, I typically do, like, 1.25 just because there's a lot of names, and I wanna be able to remember those names.
yeah.
yeah, see, if I can listen to him faster, if there are subtitles.
I get that.
That's a book.
Bam! That just took me a second. That's a book.
I know some people do read and listen to the book simultaneously. Like,
I
Mm,
tried that. I tried it, and I can't do it because when I read, I realize I'm not skimming, but like my brain skips the little words like of and the, you know what I mean?
mhm,
So I'm going a
yes.
lot faster on the page than the narrator is reading. So I'm
yeah,
like, a struggle.
I think
Wait,
I would have that same
speed
issue.
it up and then go.
I probably could. It would just take some getting used to. So,
Yeah, I
but
just hate
those are my
having
three. So
two copies of books because I feel like I'm wasting one. Like I
The
wasted
I don't.
library, my dude.
I have a
well, like
problem.
I currently have yeah, you do have a problem. You are a book collector.
I am a hoarder. I think I have 5 copies of one book.
You don't need that.
Which one?
I have the white. It's my Sarah J. Maas books. I have
Oh,
the British
yeah.
covers, the normal covers, the Audible, the ebook, the miniatures. I got all the books.
There's miniatures?
Yes, there are.
Okay. Did you get the special edition of Onyx Storm?
I did.
I did
I also
too.
have the Christmas edition of Fourth Wing because I didn't get the first edition of Fourth Wing, so I have the other one with the pretty covers and stuff. So I have a problem.
Yeah, I actually end up getting the physical copy, and then I got a free copy of the audiobook from the book ball I went to,
Nice.
Ooh, nice.
which was a surprise for me. I had no idea we were getting it. So that was awesome.
That is
That's cool. Tell
awesome.
us about that. How was that?
It was awesome.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it was like going to a wedding reception, except everyone was there to celebrate the release of their favorite book. And there were so many like-minded people and like all like the kind of people that like we go to book club with. And
Nice.
yeah, so like they were super cool and stuff. And everyone they like made um like icebreaker games and we all got separated into wings. I was in second wing. And let me just say, we won. Because we did
Woo.
war games. So that was cool. It was like a scavenger hunt. So we all had to piece out clues and then find the piece of the map as like what we were hunting for. Um, and they also did threshing. So they had origami dragons hidden around the restaurant that we were in, and you had to like find one, and then you got your wing got points for every dragon that was found.
Nice. That sounds like
Nice.
fun.
That does
Yeah,
sound fun.
yeah, there was 220 people there.
Oh,
Oh
wow.
wow.
Yeah.
Was it
Um,
like a sit-down dinner type thing too?
so that was a separate like part of the event. You paid like an extra I guess admission fee. You could
Okay.
come in earlier and do the sit down dinner, but then everyone got to enjoy the cocktail hour. There was like a charcuterie table, not a board. It was a table.
I mean,
Um,
yeah, with that many people, that makes sense.
They just brought one cutting board.
Yeah.
yeah,
There.
and it was at the Urban Stillhouse in St. Pete. So it was like a two-story building. And the second story is like a loft, and they have private rooms upstairs. So like there was a DJ downstairs for Honestly, it was to help us pass time until midnight because that's when we were legally allowed to have the book. So like about half the people were downstairs dancing, and then upstairs they had private rooms open for like friendship bracelet making, and they had coloring pages available, and there was a pool table and card games that were like it was like the fourth wing Cards Against Humanity because a lot of the people who read books aren't clubbers, so like they thought about those people too, you know.
That's
Yeah,
really smart.
that is. It sounds like a lot of fun. I didn't know there were so many other, like, activities that were going on while you were waiting.
And we even did the Ceilidh dancing, which is like Scottish square dancing. And I didn't realize we were doing that until they started teaching it to us, and I'm like, "Oh, shit, I did this when I was in Scotland too."
So I'd say you should know this.
I'm just and I, like, look at my friend, I'm like, "We just did Ceilidh dancing," even though they never, like, said, "Okay, everybody, come to the floor for Ceilidh dancing." And interesting thing was there were, like, 20% of the guests were guys, and not necessarily all of them were, like, in a couple, there was just, like, groups of guys. So I didn't realize, like, how many guys also read the books.
Oh
That's
wow.
fun. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fun.
that's
Because a lot of people we know are girls who read Fourth Wing. This one guy who was part of a couple, we were talking to him and he goes, "Yeah, the deal was I read Fourth Wing and she plays Red Dead Redemption."
yeah.
As like they're trying to each other's hobbies, and he's like, "But I loved the book. It was so good."
Yeah. That's why you should read it.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I feel like the social media sphere of, like, readers is predominantly female, but it's really open to
It really
anyone.
is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like one of our friends, our mutuals on Facebook, he seems to be really into reading, so it's kind of neat having him interact and like you're right, it's definitely predominantly women, but it's nice to
Yeah,
know that
no,
there's
that's
more.
awesome.
The other cool thing was, like, the whole point of this is so we could wear fancy formal dresses. So a lot of people went all out. And some people cosplayed as dragon riders, and some people even cosplayed as dragons themselves.
Hell yeah.
There
Yeah.
was a couple that was Tarn and Darna, and they were fantastic. Like it was done so well.
That's amazing.
And the other thing I was realizing that like these book balls are starting to become like a thing.
Yeah.
Because I see like ads for some on social media from like other, I don't know, I guess companies. There's like a company that specifically does book ball events, and they'll be
Mhm.
themed for a
Mhm.
certain book, and they're held nationwide. Like there was recently a Jane Austen one, so you came in wearing Regency outfits,
That's
and you do a
cool.
promenade in the
That'd be really
garden
neat.
and stuff like
A
that.
promenade.
Mhm.
I know a lot of people go all out for those kinds of things. I like
Yeah.
run fairs and stuff, so I think it's kinda cool that there's another outlet for them to use
Yeah.
their skills.
Definitely.
There's probably a decent overlap
Oh,
of Ren
Yeah,
Fair and book balls.
probably.
you're right.
My friend that came with me, she's like, we're 30 years old, and this is what we do for fun, and this is awesome. And I'm like, "I agree." Like, I love this nerd thing that's, like, really cool to do.
Yeah, I mean, not everything has to be adult things, adult chores. We can have fun too.
Right.
We're in
Yeah.
our 30s. YOLO.
YOLO.
That shows that we are in our 30s, we say YOLO.
Hush.
We just aged ourselves.
Hey, you know what?
Nah.
Bella's looking at me, and she thinks it's cool, so
It is cool.
Bella is a cutie,
Mhm.
and I would die for her.
I
Same.
mean, same, but she is my cat.
Yeah, that's true.
We have to establish the boundary that she is your cat.
But I would still
For
die
now.
for her. What's next on the list?
5-star alert.
Oh, because Allie,
We have any 5-star alerts?
yeah, because you
I have a
you
5-star alert.
do. Your demon one, you rated 5 stars, the one you mentioned last week.
Ah, snap! Yeah, I do. I totally forgot. Speaking of double copies, I bought the physical book of that book.
Did you really?
Oh, I did. Well,
What
because
book was it?
yes, The Demon Under the Microscope.
Oh,
It is the
yeah.
book about how sulfa was discovered. I bought the hard copy because I listened to it. It was another free one on my phone, on
Mhm.
Audible. So I was like, there were certain things because I was talking to my mom about it, and I'm trying to go back and look back in it, and you can't look back really easily. Audiobook. I just said that too. On an audiobook.
That's fair.
You can't just go flip through the pages. So I'm trying to find it, and like my brain, I'm like, I really want the physical copy so I can go through again and be a nerd and like mark up and like see. I don't usually mark up books, but like I feel like this kind you could, because it's almost like a school book of all of the nonfiction ones I've read.
Right.
It's very like, it would go with my degree, honestly. So I got the physical one because I really wanted to just go back and reabsorb what I learned from it. So it was a 5-star. I would read again. Especially if you have an interest in like microbiology and like knowing all that type of information. So it's very cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That seems like right up your alley.
It honestly is. Alley.
What's up, Allie's alley?
It honestly is, and like I said before, it is kind of funny because I am allergic to sulfa. So, you know.
But now you
I'm
know
just
the
learning
dangers
about the thing
that
what can kill you.
I just learned about all the ways that it can help save my life, but I can't take it because it will also kill me. So, you know, that's why we have penicillin now.
Yeah, penicillin.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, it was a very good read. I would suggest to anyone who likes that type of book. So, 5-star alert.
Whoop, whoop. I had one too.
Ooh.
Yeah. The Wishing Game, the one I mentioned last week by Meg Shaffer. That it was so good. It's so wholesome. It's kind of like a children's book for grown-ups. And like I say that in the best way possible. Because it's so fantastical and whimsical and an all-around wholesome story that is kind of like, it's like a happy book, like kind of like what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah,
that's
it just
awesome.
Makes you feel good.
It's definitely a feel-good story because it's about this kindergarten teacher who like left everything, moved to California, and started over with nothing. And she falls in love with one of her students, like in her kindergarten class, whose name is Christopher and is currently in the foster care system, and she wants to adopt him, and like vice versa, like he wants her to be his mom.
I thought that was going to go in a different direction.
Yeah, I was questioning it.
I like how I said that she falls in love with him.
You said she falls in love with her student. I'm like,
no.
Yeah, it was like kindergarten.
I didn't know how to say it. Because like she like loves this kid so much, like, and it's like very evident in the book.
That's how you say it.
Yeah, it's yeah. But she introduces him to these Clock Island books, which is kind of like in the same tier system of like Goosebumps and Animorphs, where there's like a million of them, and it's from that same time period. But in like everyone like from that generation, like you mentioned that title to them, and they're just like, oh yeah, I know that book, or I know that series. And like I said, she wants to adopt him, but she like can't because she doesn't have an apartment, she doesn't have a car, she doesn't have money. All she has is like the love, and is not enough to be like a actual mother. But then the author of the books that they love so much holds a contest, and the prize could help her make her wish come true. So it's all about like her and Christopher's wish like needing to come true, and like they do like whatever they could to do it. And
oh, that's cute.
Yeah. And like there's still like heavy stuff in it, like backstory wise, that they all kind of have to like work through, like all the characters, like all the main ones. But like nothing bad is happening like in the present story, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So like there's some stuff in the flashbacks.
Well, they don't do flashbacks. They're like just talking about like what happened to them and like cry about it.
Oh, okay.
And then they're like, "Oh yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. I understand like why this happened, blah blah blah." But it makes like the characters super in depth, and I love that. And
I like that. I like when an author fully fleshes out characters, or maybe not fully fleshes out, but gives them enough to seem real and human.
Yeah, because then I read another book last week that did not do that, and I'm just like, I hate this.
I understand. There's been plenty of books that I've read that are just like the character's extremely flat.
And it's like the main character too. Like I don't care if it's a side character, but like the main one being super flat.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I don't have any 5 stars to talk about this week, but that's all right. I'll have one.
Indeed.
Probably eventually. Alrighty, do you want to move into the topic of the week?
The topic of the week.
The topic of the week.
So this week we're talking about our favorite genres that we read in 2024. Before we started recording, we all kind of realized that we had fantasy on our list, so we're just gonna kind of joint pick that, and then we each have a different genre to talk about as well. Do you want to start with fantasy or end with fantasy?
Start with fantasy.
Start with fantasy.
Start with
All right.
fantasy.
Allison, do you want to go first?
Sure. So last year I read One Dark Window
Knew
by
it.
Rachel Gillig.
I knew you were going to pick that one.
You knew
I
it.
even wrote in my notes. I'm like,
Yeah.
$10 says Allison picks One Dark Window.
Seriously? I'm checking the notes. No. It is an excellent story. The magic system alone it's different. You read that too, didn't you? Or no?
I did.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, because I was debating whether or not I wanted to read it or pick it for mine, and I'm like, I can't because Allison's gonna pick it.
You can guarantee she's gonna pick it. It follows a girl, Elspeth Spindle, and they're in like this town. No, kingdom. That's the word. They're in a kingdom of blunder, and she needs to like. Okay, back it up. The magic system is like card based. So like there's these cards and each of them have a different type of magic and you have to like have the card to be able to use that magic, right? So and she ends up it kind of gives it away in the description, so I'm not spoiling anything. It says that she needs a monster and she has one and she calls him the Nightmare, who is an ancient spirit who is trapped inside of her and keeps her secrets and protects her. But the problem is having that inside of her and like using the magic and stuff has a cost. So they have to like she's basically like thrust into this like world of deception, and she joins a quest to cure blunder because they have a dark magic that's like infecting it. It's like this just big old quest, and like the magic system, I've said this already, alone is just really cool and really unique. I don't think I've ever read a book that's similar to this.
Yeah, no, me neither. I thought about it a lot.
It's a good
when
book.
I was not reading it.
Yeah. Same.
It's a sign of a good book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it just like the way that the writing alone is very good as well. It's a duology. Yeah, it's duology. I wish there was more, but it has a very final ending, so it's like I don't know how she could expand on it.
Yeah, and I think sometimes it's good that there's not just a million books like Goosebumps.
It doesn't keep going.
It doesn't go on forever.
This is a very good. It has a very like the story is done. Like it's not like you're still sitting there wondering, but you are still like thinking about that book.
Yeah, like it just sits in your brain.
Yeah. So
I'll have to add that.
Good.
Yeah, there is some romance elements to it, but it's not very heavy in the first book.
No, it doesn't take over either.
No, it's not. It's a very side thing, but it is definitely a motivation in the second book.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
And but
it's not
way. It's like it's necessary.
Yeah. It's good. Good book. 5 out of 5 would recommend.
I think my fantasy book that I loved was Hurricane Wars, and that one was by.
You had mentioned that to me.
Yes. I liked it a lot. It's by Thea Guanzon. It's like it has a Romeo and Juliet trope. It's technically, I think, if romantasy was a formal genre rather than just kind of like a slang term, like it would be romantasy. So it's like a Romeo and Juliet type trope with instead of opposing families, it's opposing nations in the middle of a war. And there's like a light side and a dark side. And yes, it is I confirmed it. I found it on the internet. It is fan fiction of Star Wars.
Really?
Yes. So like you get the light side, and so instead of lightsabers, she has light magic. And then you get the dark side, and he has shadow magic.
Sure.
And then it's like if they focus on Rey and Kylo Ren's love story as the main plot point instead of like saving the galaxy and the rebellion and stuff, that's kind of like where this is like directed.
Mhm.
And
I would read
it makes my heart happy because I was loving that. To be
I love
honest.
them.
Me too.
I have read fan fiction of them.
Incredible.
Sorry, go ahead.
Because like when especially like because I was swooning during the 8th episode of Star Wars when that romantic tension, and then in the last one too. And then so when I realized this book was them, I'm just like, yes, finally. I get my happy ending. Well, maybe I don't know because it's a trilogy at least. So, and did you know that Jesus, Alex's buddy, like didn't know that he thought that the kiss in the last movie was like a total shock, and I'm like,
What?
how?
Oh,
Yeah.
oh
How?
boy.
Yeah,
There was so much staring and like tension.
he was like shirtless and she was flustered. Like, how did he not see this coming?
Read the room.
Media literacy is a skill. Not everyone has it.
No, I was laughing so hard.
Oh.
But I really love the world building in Hurricane Wars because like they fight with these storm ships which create like bad weather. Like it'll shoot lightning, it'll create an artificial storm which will make their enemies like lives like so much harder trying to fight them back. And then because the author is Filipino, she uses Southeast Asian culture a lot in the girls' side with the light side. So there's a lot of beautiful jungles, delicious food, and I really want to eat their curry so bad.
Nice. You'll have to find like a recipe or something. We can make it.
Oh, I just love curry.
Oh,
And the
I love
fact that
curry
there's
too.
curry in this, I just want it.
Fair.
Oh yeah, and there are dragons. They are in the background, but they are there.
Oh, interesting.
Gotta love a dragon.
And yeah, it is confirmed as a trilogy. It's in the back cover of the first book.
Nice. Do you know when book 2 is coming out?
Oh, book 2 has been released. It's called
Okay.
The Monsoon Rising. So now I think next year or so we will get the third one.
Nice. I hope the trilogy pans out in the way that is satisfying.
Me too. Like, because technically it's not romance. It is technically a fantasy. So like they may or may not get their romantic happy ending. It's not
Right.
guaranteed.
If it goes this way of Disney, we already know the ending.
Oh, true.
We do.
But unless she's like, I hate how it ended,
It's
and
true.
I really wanted to end it like this, maybe.
Yeah. Author
She
can
might.
do whatever she wants.
It's true.
Like Cartman, whatever. I
Whatever.
do what I want. Val, what's yours?
Oh, I'm breaking the rules. I have 2.
What the hell?
I know,
Man.
I'm sorry. Listen,
Rude.
they're both really good. It's the
Are
problem.
they Brandon Sanderson?
They are not.
Oh, wow. I was going to bet $10 on that too.
Well, give it to me, because you lost.
Does this mean I owe you $10 because I picked it, or do you owe me $10 because I picked it?
I win $10.
Yeah, so
Oh.
Allison just give me the $10 because Courtney lost it.
Okay, we can do that. It's gonna be a month or so, but you know, we can do that.
Yeah, whatever. Venmo,
Fine.
same thing.
Oh, true.
Anyway.
Anywho, what are one of your or both of your books?
Yeah. So the first one is called Accidental Demons by Clare Edge. It's a middle grade, which I don't generally read, but I saw Claire, the author, on Threads, and she was just promoting this book so heavily, and like the topic really interested me. So it's about Bernadette, who is in like middle school, and she was just recently diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And she's in a family of witches that do conjurings and stuff with blood magic. So as she has to check her blood sugar pretty frequently, as most type 1 diabetics do, and every time she checked her blood sugar, a demon would come through. And all of them wouldn't be necessarily visible to anyone else except for like anyone that practices magic, which is the minority in this universe. But it was really fun. Those dragons cause a lot of chaos. Like there was a pencil one that kept like stealing pencils from her classmates as they were trying to do their test. And so it's about her. It's going to be, I think, a trilogy. Only the first one is out right now. It may be a duology. I'm not 100% sure. But she's learning how to deal with her diabetes diagnosis and how to not conjure those pesky demons every time that she draws blood. Her cats are also kind of acting as like blood sugar monitors because they get antsy when her blood sugar drops or gets too high. So I think that was really fun. And I'm interested to see where they go with this book or the series, I guess, because it was a lot of fun, and I think it'd be great for like anyone in that age to read. But I had a lot of fun with it even as an adult.
It sounds awesome.
Yeah.
It's really different
Like-
too.
Yeah, it is.
I kind of wish there was something like that when I was like that age, like for that
Yeah.
age group. You know?
Yeah, and that's what Claire said on like Thread. She was like, "I wish I had this book," because she is also a type 1 diabetic in her life. So she was like, "I wish I had something like this." So I'm writing this for the next generation, which I thought was really fun.
Yeah, no, when you first told me about it, I was like, weird. She's reading in middle grade, but also like when you explained it to me, I'm like, okay, yeah, no, I kind of want to add that to my TBR too.
You should. It's
Yeah, 'cause, like,
absolutely worth it.
honestly, like it doesn't matter. Like I've talked about this with like our local bookshop owner and the one up in Safety Harbor. And it's like it doesn't really matter who cares like what age group is for. If it's a good book, it's a good book.
Yeah, exactly. And like really the only difference between like a middle grade and like a book written for adult is just like the language and the sentence structure and that kind of stuff, right? Like the concepts are definitely toned down in middle grade, but it, you know, they can translate no matter what
Right.
grade you're writing for or like audience you're writing for.
Absolutely, 100%.
So the second book is called The Spellshop, and I'm just going to read you the like first part of the description because I think you're both going to really like it. It's by Sarah Beth Durst. The Spellshop. All right. So join Keela, the librarian, and her assistant Kaz, the sentient spider plant, as they navigate low-stakes market of illegal spellmaking and high-risk business of starting over.
Oh, is that the blurb?
That's the blurb. Yes, he's a sentient spider plant.
Is it like it
I
it
like
reminds
it.
me of like Audrey.
Yes. No, the
Like
entire
Phoebe
time
Finlay
I
kind
was
of.
imagining Audrey and Poison Ivy and her plants, Chaz.
Oh, like Batman Poison
Yeah,
Ivy.
Batman Poison Ivy and her plants. What's his name? Frank. Frank and
Frank?
Poison Ivy. Yeah. There's an animated TV show on HBO, or I guess now Max, whatever, and it's Harley Quinn animated TV show. And the entire time I was imagining Keela and Kaz as Poison Ivy and Frank the plant. Frank the plant is a piranha plant, but it's like the same
Yeah.
thing because Kaz is a sentient spider plant, but he uses his limbs to like crawl around and pick up things and move things, and it's just a very, very, very cute, wholesome story. I guess it's technically romantasy because there is a romance plot, but it's not the primary plot. It's very wholesome, very cute. I really enjoyed it. I read
A
it
cozy
around
read?
Halloween. Very cozy. It's a very, very cozy book.
Yeah,
I love a cozy book.
yeah, that one's on my TBR.
It's a good book.
I know there's so many times where like I walked by it in the store and it's like I literally just bought like an X amount of books. And so like I'm like, okay, I can't buy it. Let's do this next time. And then I keep seeing it and I keep seeing it and I'm like, but I just kept buying books. And I'm like, I'm trying not to be that guy. But
You gotta
so one day
work
it'll come up.
through.
I'm trying so hard.
Yeah, and the cover of the book is stunning. I don't
It
know
is.
who like designed it or drew it or anything, but it's stunning.
Yeah, I want the book. The cover really
I've
made
not seen it before, so I'll need to check it out.
I think you would really like it. I just thought it was so fitting.
It's gonna be on my TBR.
Yeah. So fitting.
It's gonna be on my TBR.
Yeah. It's a librarian in her plants.
Is there a book 2?
No, it's a all-encompassing book, I think. I don't think there's gonna be a second one.
The Enchanted Greenhouse. It looks just like the first one.
Oh. I don't
Unless it's
know.
part of the same universe but still a standalone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm looking at Storygraph, and it doesn't say that it's, like, part of a series or anything.
Okay, here. The Enchanted
I don't know.
The Enchanted Greenhouse is a new standalone novel, but it looks like it's in the same something.
Same universe.
Oh, that one has to go on my TBR too.
Well, yeah, that's going on mine too.
Guys, there's too many on my TBR.
Listen, so at the beginning of 2025, I was like, I'm going to work on reducing my TBR because it was at like 60 something. Do you want to know what is at right now?
But
500.
79. I've added more books than I've
Eh.
taken off.
I think that's kind of where I was at too. I started in the 50s and now it's in the 70s. And I'm like, I've read 8 books so far. I don't know how this happened.
You've read 8 books so far this year?
I have.
That's.
I'll have read 7 once I finish these next 3.
I'm at 1.
So right now I'm at 4.
2?
Okay, but you have a behemoth.
Oh, you're reading Long Boys.
Yeah, that's true. Also, you guys read a lot more than I do.
That's true.
Yeah, you're right.
Why fantasy though? Because like I love fantasy because I like being able to escape from the real life world into a fantastical world, and I'll read a contemporary setting book, but I don't necessarily like it because I don't want to be reminded constantly of the stress that like I go through on a daily basis with like money and work and adulting but like in fantasy you don't have to worry about bills. You just have to like guard it.
They just have to worry about dying.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
just feel like that's so much
The
simpler.
dragons. Or magic. I mean, honestly, that's probably the same reason why fantasy is one of my top reads. It's just, they're fun.
Yeah.
You can kind of immerse yourself in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So, very similar reasoning, so.
Yeah, I think.
I also read contemporary, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think fantasy is just fun because it's otherworldly, right? A lot of things happen in fantasy can't happen in our world, so it's fun to kind of step away for a moment. Like Courtney said, escape.
Yeah, it's nice. I kind of want to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. Step out of the world and
To an
go to a
extent.
different world.
Depending on the world.
Yes.
Fair.
Yes.
Some of those worlds are scary.
Yes, that is very true.
Allison, do you want to go next with your genre pick?
Sure. My genre pick is history, so like historical books. And I picked 2 out of it labeled 7 on Storygraph that I have. So I picked 2 of them. One of them is called The Radium Girls: The Dark Story of America's Shining Women by Kate Moore and Angela Brazil. Angela Brazil is the narrator, actually. So the author is Kate Moore. And it goes along in the early 1900s, so like 1917, 18, when during World War I, as they were making clocks. So it follows clockmakers, and the women who were making these clocks and painting them, they used a lovely substance called radium, which, if you don't know, is very toxic. And it was considered like a glamorous job to be able to say you work in the radium, you're a radium girl. And like they'd come home covered in dust that would make them shine. If that's not already making you question some things.
Suspicious.
And very suspicious. And so it follows, it's kind of like an investigative book in a way, the way they set it up. So it follows some of these letters and stuff throughout the book of people writing, or like kind of like a test, they like testify almost. And they were like, the way that we were painting these clocks is they'd have this little brush, they'd have a little pot of radium, they would lick the brush between their lips, dip it in the radium,
Lick?
paint the numbers on the clock. Yes. They would call it lip pointing, so they would point the brush with their lips, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they dip it in the pot of radium and paint the numbers on, and then proceed to put the brush back in their mouth to retip it for the next clock. So they are ingesting radium, right?
Did they die?
Toxic.
It seems fun.
So yeah. So these companies, being companies and only caring about their money, right? We're like, oh, it's healthy, it's fine, it's safe, right? They're fine, nothing's wrong. This is not a toxic chemical or anything. They'll be fine. And well, as the years passed, women who are doing this are like becoming like just like full of just like different diseases and different issues. They're getting bone sarcomas. Their literal jaws are like disintegrating.
Oh my god.
Cool.
And yeah, it's like terrible. But these women refuse to accept that this clock, like this radium, wasn't the cause, because they kept pushing, it's not us, right? But all of the women who are coming down with these sicknesses worked for these factories and worked for these companies. And so it's like they pushed back against this injustice, and they refused to accept like what they were being told. And pretty much they were the reason we have a lot of our like OSHA and like different things.
Yeah.
They were a big cause for safety and regulation and stuff in these companies, because they're like, no, you guys are the reason we were sick, or we have gotten sick and dying. It was a very riveting, very good book. Very sad, because like at one point when they were doing some of like the trials in that, the one lady was so sick, the judge decided to be like kind, and she had to give her testimony bedside.
Wow.
Because she just couldn't. Yeah. So, and there's like a really famous picture of her. I can't remember the name of her, but she's giving her testimony. She literally can't walk anymore. Like, she's just so, yeah. It was a very good book. Very sad, and just shows how little like that company was caring. So
Right. And this was a nonfiction, correct?
Yeah, this is nonfiction. So it actually happened, obviously.
Mhm.
Like it's a true, it followed all of these women and went through everything, and they covered up. I'm kind of giving away a lot, but like the company covered up like some of their reports and stuff. They even had the girls be tested. Like they would get like blood drawn and stuff. They would do like tests and stuff on them. Say, "Oh, you're fine," but really the tests are showing they're not fine. But they wouldn't reveal that to the girls. So they know that they're making them sick, but they didn't tell the truth. So.
That's crazy.
Light read. Yeah. But it was excellent. It was very eye-opening, and interesting. So, again, that was The Radium Girls by Kate Moore. And then my second historical book was called When Women Ruled the World, 6 Queens of Egypt by Kara Coney. And this follows 6 different queens throughout Egypt, including Hatshepsut, Cleopatra, Nefertiti. And it talks about how back in that time, women were pretty much regularly elevated to high political roles and leadership and had religious authority. And they basically, like, you could see their effect on ancient Egypt and how, I don't know, how they kind of made it a society that, like, really progressed, and I don't know, had a lot going for them. I don't know how else to say that. But it was just interesting. The political stability that they would have when women would come into power. Usually they'd come into power because someone would die and the son was too young, so they would be basically like the queen regent, right? And so there were some that even would just go beyond that because there wasn't a son to take over, so they would just basically be the queen,
ruler, yeah.
right?
Right, yeah.
They would be the ruler, yeah. It was just really interesting, really cool to kind of hear about the political side and how how they would help like move Egypt, I don't know, on and through. That was
Yeah,
really good. I think Courtney, you read it too,
Yeah, I
didn't
did.
you?
I read a part of this because, like, the thing is, like, with Egypt is that it was one of the very few places that had female rulers in ancient times. That actually had a female head of state. I think there's one other example from China, but that was like 600 something when that happened.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she just basically took it over. She was like, "F you," and like,
Yeah. I'm in charge now. Goodbye.
yep, pretty much.
We're done.
Yeah. So I think she ruled for like 2 decades. So
Oh wow. That's a pretty long ruling.
it was.
Yeah. And like they would continue the lineage, whether something like they had like an attack, they didn't have a male heir, they had economic expansion. Pretty much they were the only consistent not country.
Right, and I think it kind of was showed that whenever women were the ruler, it was usually during peacetime because they didn't really
Yeah,
care for
exactly.
like warmongering.
Yeah, they weren't hungry
Yeah.
for more.
They just wanted to make their own place. They wanted to have better crops, have better this. Like they were just trying to make their country better.
Mm-hmm.
Civilization, that's the word I was looking for.
So proud.
They were just trying to improve it and keep it going instead of beating everybody else up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't trying to be greedy and take things over. They're just like, let's make the best that I can for my current area.
Yes.
Exactly. So they're my 2 picks for historical drama. Not drama, genre.
Those sounded really good.
I agree. They were both
I would
very
recommend
interesting,
them.
especially the Iridium girls.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna add that to my DVR.
It's very good.
Val, do you want to go next?
Sure. So my genre one of my favorite genres for 2024 was memoir. So I have 2 different books. They're kind of both the same because memoirs are, well, about a person or a group of people. So the first one is You Deserve Good Gelato by Casey Rose. So I follow her on Instagram, and she's an American that moved from New York City in like 2021 to Italy to be with her boyfriend. He's a chef, so all the restaurants got shut down. So he went back to Italy, where he's from, and so she moved over to Italy, and a lot of the memoir is just about her time living in Italy. But before she went to Italy, or to like move in with her boyfriend, she actually went on a solo trip in like 2018 by herself to Italy. Happened to run into her now boyfriend slash fiance, and they met. They only had one day in whatever city they were in, and that's how they met, and then a relationship formed. At some point he came over to the US, and then the whole COVID thing, and then she moved over to Italy. And the book's just really about like taking that next step, taking that adventure that you may not otherwise do because you're scared, and just kind of like reducing your fear of like not knowing anyone else and like doing stuff on your own. So I really enjoyed it. And like this
Sounds
past
so good.
year, I think, yeah, because the book came out in 2024, and she did like a whole press tour in the US and like Europe and stuff like that. And she was alone for a lot of it. But, it was those constant adventures of just being on her own and seeing where life takes you, and like, don't be afraid of doing that on your own.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good read.
That
It was
sounds really
it was
good.
on the shorter side.
It
Yeah.
does sound really good. I'm adding that. I just added it to my TBR.
Making those lists longer.
Honestly. Well, it just sounds like there's some good life lessons, especially like as we're like getting older and stuff. We just at some point we just
Yeah.
have to stop being scared to do things, or else we're just gonna die with regrets.
Yeah, she's about our age too. So it was kind of nice hearing from a peer kind of around the same age of like her adventures and that kind of stuff.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then The second book I have is Strangers Assume My Girlfriend Is My Nurse by Shane Burcaw. So Shane is disabled like I am, and he has muscular dystrophy, so his condition continues to get worse. And this is his second book that he wrote. The first book was like his younger years, and then this book was about like end of high school through college and into adulthood, where he met his girlfriend and they ended up moving in together, and now they're married in like real life. But whenever he and his girlfriend at the time would go out, they would always assume that she was his nurse. And like he's very comedic. All of his stories are hilarious. And just the way that he frames interabled relationships is really refreshing, and not a lot of people are doing that, because a lot of people that aren't disabled see someone that is disabled and just automatically assume that they're not worthy of love, or they can't be loved because the care is too burdensome. And it talks a lot about like she wouldn't be here if she didn't want to be. Like he's not holding her hostage or anything like that. It's very like a loving relationship, and I relate to that quite a lot because my partner's not disabled, but I am. And it's great. And Shane's hilarious. And it was just a fun book.
Yeah,
Nice.
it sounds very relatable. It's like
Yeah.
especially for people like you, because
Yeah.
like I agree. People will see a disabled person and then a non or an able-bodied person next to them and be like, they just assume like, oh, that can't be their partner.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but it's like, but it is.
Right. Yeah. So many times people have been like, "Oh, is he your nurse?" When my partner and I are out, and it was like, "No, we've been together for a decade." Like,
We have been together
it's
for 10 years, you know.
yeah. So,
We're gonna learn
and
today.
yeah. And like even when I'm not out with him, but I'm out with like one of you guys, like a lot of people automatically talk to you first
They
instead
do.
of me.
They do.
So, yeah, they do.
Stupid.
They
And
just
it'd be funny because then I'll turn to you and I'll be like, "What do you think?"
Yeah.
and then let you handle it.
Yeah, that's how it be. But yeah, those were my 2 memoir picks for the year.
Those sound really good.
They
Yeah.
do.
Very
What
nice.
about you, Courtney?
Yeah, Courtney.
It's my turn.
It's your turn.
Isn't
My turn. So my genre pick was mystery.
Oh.
That was mystery slash thriller, because I feel like those kind of. I feel like mystery, thriller, and horror kinda are on like the same spectrum. It's just like how much gore is in it, how many people, are being murdered,
Mhm.
and that's what sets it as either mystery, thriller, or horror. Because like thrillers and horrors does have an element of mystery in them, but like not necessarily every thriller involves death
Right.
true?
or violence. But that was a genre I really got into last year, and I read a lot more from that genre than I normally would have.
Mhm.
And it was because I picked up The Heiress by Rachel Hawkins. I had seen it in a flyer from Indie Next, and the blurb sounded so good, and I'm just like, all right. I tried it, loved it, so
Nice.
much. Basically, it's about this heiress. She had passed away some time ago, and she has an adopted son who inherited everything she owned, the house, money, everything. But he like wants nothing to do with it because the family's just insane and like money hungry, well, not just like the non-immediate family members, like cousins and stuff. And it takes place in North Carolina. It's kind of like a fictional version of Asheville. And
Okay.
like it's as if like the heiress like owned like the Biltmore kind of like thing going on.
Nice. Okay.
And so the story is an uncle has died, so the son finally has to return to the home and the family so he can deal with all this the will stuff and obviously everyone's still clamoring for the money. You also find out more about the heiress because she had 4 husbands, and they all mysteriously died.
Oh,
And
Suspicious.
yeah.
suspicious, and also about her like mysterious disappearance slash kidnapping as a child. So you kind of learn, like, it goes back and forth with the point of views, because the heiress Ruby is like writing letters to another character, and so like you kind of like discover like what is happening. And also the audiobook for this was excellent. They had 4 narrators, 2 for the
Ooh,
modern day characters, 1 for Ruby, and then another one that was like reading newspaper clippings.
nice. I love it when the audiobook has, like, a whole cast.
Yeah,
I
it
know
was
that's, like,
great.
high production, but it really immerses you into the story.
Right, it was just done so well, and I don't like, maybe I wouldn't have liked it as much if I didn't do it as an audiobook. Who knows? Maybe I would have rated it as a 4.75 instead of a 5. But like it was just done so well. I'm like, yes, 5 stars.
Love it.
That's awesome.
My second book is called The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. This one also has multiple point of views. So we have a modern day one where a main girl goes on an anniversary trip without her husband because she discovered he was cheating. So she goes to London on the trip anyway and discovers an empty vial in the river and like does research about it. And it turns out it's from this apothecary from back in 18th century London. And so when the point of view switches, it's kind of about the apothecary itself. And this one is about the owner who helps women kill their husbands because they're like abusive and stuff. And it's like an
Oh,
arranged
hell yeah.
marriage. They're old as all get out. Like it's just they want to get out of this marriage, right? So she
Mhm.
helps kill them. And I think it's probably inspired by the Aqua Tofana lore. Have you guys heard of that?
No.
A little bit.
No, like in Italy in the 1600s, there was this apothecary, like this lady that was actively helping women do the same thing, like kill their husbands
Yeah.
because it was just a bad situation for them.
She'd help
And it
poison
was just
them.
this, yeah, and it was like with arsenic and lead and something else. But it was odorless and colorless, so just slip it in their food, and they just kind of die within the next week. And then they're like, "Oh no, my husband's died, and I don't know why." And this went on for decades.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think she finally did get caught, from what I understand. But
Mm.
That's
yeah,
too
she
bad.
helped a lot of women. But I never had so much secondhand anxiety from a book before.
No, no.
Yeah, and like I feel like I'm supposed to be selling you on this, but like just how good it is because I'm just like, oh my god, like if I was in this situation, like I'd probably pee my pants. Like
I think I have that book, the actual physical book. I think it's on my shelf. I just haven't read it yet.
it is so good. It was so relatable, a lot of realistic elements and mystical ones. So yeah, I liked that one a lot.
That sounds
That's
cool.
awesome. Yeah. I like it. I got into mysteries or thrillers last year too, so it's a genre I'm excited to continue reading.
Me
Same.
too.
I have a handful. I have like 4 or 5 on my shelf I keep meaning to read. But it'll happen eventually.
Eventually.
You know, all good. So, but we have some pretty good books on there for our genres. I
We
like it.
do. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the episode. We just got some announcements to go through. Locally, March 1st is a Southwest Florida Reading Festival in downtown Fort Myers. We're gonna go and then we're gonna do a recap episode about it. We're really excited about that one. And then on March 21st, for that episode date, we're gonna do a book club episode. So what's going to happen is the 3 of us are going to read or have read the same book, and then we're going to go actually in depth and talk about the book as if it was like a book club. This way, you guys have plenty of time. The listeners have plenty of time to read it and listen to it with us, listen to the episode with us. Um, is this episode we're going to do Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. It's Val's way to get me to read a Brandon Sanderson book.
Yes.
Listen. It's an easy, shorter read.
And you know what? It was on my TBR, so I guess I'll be reading it sooner rather than later. I am really
Exactly.
excited about it.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Books I Read with My Cat. You can find us on social media at BookCatPod, and if you have any ideas or feedback, feel free to give us an email at bookcatpod@gmail.com. Happy reading!